Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign, welcome to the month of April of 2024, in which three very rare events are tackling your sky in ways that could change things to do with where you live, your home, property, real estate matters, big changes regarding romance, love, and children, and possibly some difficult circumstances that lead to a breakthrough regarding siblings, travel plans, and things to do with education. We're going to cover how these very rare events, including an eclipse, total solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, is going to impact you. So if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Lori Lothian. I'm using the Western Tropical Zodiac and the whole sign house system. I love the fixed stars and I love those minor asteroids. I put all of that kind of content into all of my videos, up to 40 every month on YouTube. If you're new, give me a try. Hit that like button and subscribe. If you're one of my regulars, welcome back. Before we talk about the sky, which is so busy, it's an intense sky in the next 20 to 25 minutes. Let me also mention that I'm teaching Sky Reader. Be Your Own Astrologer, Time Your Best Life. It starts on the middle of April, it runs for 6 weeks. It's got a weekly Q&A class. Times will vary to accommodate different time zones. Q&A follow-up call. It's got a weekly live class on Saturdays, as well as a Facebook group where my assistant and I can check your homework and help you out if you get stuck. So it's a high-touch learning environment. I do limit the number of students who can participate. If you want to learn some basic astrology tools to time your own life, then please jump aboard. In the description box below is a link for you to sign up to the wait list, and I will open the cart or the doors to this class probably April the 1st. Now let's talk Capricorn about the sky. Oh my goodness. Wow. First of all, because we have an eclipse in your fourth house and you're Capricorn, it's angular to you. And all these Aries eclipses last April, next April are a huge deal. So just know that as a cardinal sign, this is very important. This is a very big turning point energy that's rolling into your sky in the month of April. We're not going to tackle the eclipse in greater detail as we go through the chronological journey through the month. So get ready for that. Now, I want to mention something about who you are. You're a Saturn ruled being. All Capricorn rising and Aquarius rising people are Saturnian. Now, it could be your sun, which is about your career and your purpose and your father figures, Cap sun. And it can be about your moon, Capricorn moon, your mother figures, but also home, body, safety needs. Those are the meanings of sun and moon in your chart. But the rising sign is all about you. So make sure that you know your rising sign. And you can delineate that in my free tutorial in my description box below, teaching you how to cast your chart in whole sign houses, but also to discover, of course, your rising sign. But nonetheless, you're a Saturnian ruled being, and one of the biggest events of the month, too, is the Lord of your sky doing something he has not done at all since 1994 and 1995, which is crash into, or have Mars crash into him in the sign of Pisces. So we're going to also really dive into that. So I'm just giving you the overview and what it might mean. We'll get into the details. So let's talk about the planetary changes that are important this month in terms of sign and what they're doing, and also then the chronology. Okay, I hope that got your interest piqued. So first of all, we'll look at the outer planets. I mean, the smaller inner planet transits is very important, about, things that are happening in our life and what's changing and what's not changing. For you, one of the big deals is definitely Mercury. In the month of April, he will retrograde for 3 weeks, April the 1st to the 25th, in your fourth house of home, property, and real estate. Now, don't forget, Mercury has been in Aries, the bottom of your sky, that fourth house. He's been there since the beginning of, let me remember my dates, March the 10th, and will leave all the way out on May the 15th. Now, that extraordinarily long 2-month plus stay is because he will retrograde, obviously, and he has been in this kind of elemental fire year in which he does long retrogradations and long stays in Leo, Sag, and Aries, making this an elemental fire year for Mercury. He last covered this kind of energetic back in 2017. So I want you as a Capricorn to think about that year of 2017 and see how it might be familiar to the vibes of this year. Mercury is going to retrograde, though, as I said, April 1st to the 25th in the fourth house. He's going to navigate backwards, trundling back from 27 degrees of Aries to 16 degrees of Aries. And this will mean that if your Capricorn sun or moon or rising sign is approximately somewhere between, I'd say, 13 and 29 degrees of the sign of Capricorn, then this retrograde really influences you more acutely. But when Mercury retrogrades in your fourth house during the first 3 weeks of April, from your past and from your background of whenever before, childhood friends, family member intimate family members from your childhood could be in touch with you, especially mother, because this is a house of the mother. So you may be hearing from these people, phone calls, emails, and text messages, but you also may be revising or changing your mind or going back over some kind of issues that have to do with homeland and property and real estate, or where you wish to home yourself. You see, you kind of had a chironic wound about where your true home should be and feeling like you're out of touch with your home, like not belonging in your home, not knowing where to live, living in a home that feels like a wounded place for you, being bereft of your true home domicile, residence, and place to live. That wound has been active with Chiron ever since 2019. And with this long Mercury retrograde, there may be some energies here of resolving this particular wound, and especially with the eclipse that's coming in this part of the sky too. So we'll get to that. So you're kind of recovering going back over some old ground to resolve maybe this wound around your home, and people from the past or situations from the past to do with the word land, property, home, real estate, and legacy or inheritance, well, can be very much in play the first 3 weeks of April. Now, we also have Venus, the goddess of beauty, love, harmony, and peace, moving into Aries as well, where Mercury will be on April the 5th. Now, don't forget, she was moving in the sign of your third house, Pisces, exaltation, giving you some extreme positivity as a Capricorn regarding travel, learning opportunities, local neighborhood, social events, and things like that. But now she's gone forward on April the 5th into Aries, a place where she has to act like a tomboy, like Xena Warrior Princess or Laura Croft in Tomb Raider. She got her female soldiering going here, but she moves into Aries in your fourth house on April 5th and doesn't leave until the 29th. And that means that for most of April, you've got the goddess of money and love and beauty and peace and harmony in a sign of war in your fourth house. Now, she can lend a hand as best she can to what's going on here. This can mean financial opportunities connected to things to do with your home. That's quite literally what it might look like. Or some kind of love stories and pleasure stories emerging in and from your home. Sometimes here she redecorates, redesigns, and fixes the beauty of the home. And that could be true for some of you during her April 5th to the 29th journey through the fourth house. But she will also be in this part of the sky midwifing an eclipse. And we'll talk about that eclipse shortly. Just know that Venus is at home in the home and Mercury is in the home retrograding. Females from your past may be coming into your story that you have cohabitated with, and you get an email, phone call, or text messages that you knew as a child, or that are just literally connected to real estate matters and property matters. Females, Venus from the past, suddenly showing up with, returning the message to you, out of touch, and now here they are in touch with you all at once. Phone calls, emails, messages, Mercury's terrain. Now, Mars, the god of war, but also choices, decisions, actions. Mars has been moving from about the 22nd of March through Pisces. That is your third house, and it is a travel house, and he's a travel god, and he will complete that journey all through the rest of April till the 30th in your travel house. And therefore, Mars moves swimming laps through your travel house might indicate travel plans, travel opportunities that will emerge or are already structured for you sometime in the month of April. However, we're going to talk about a bit of a confrontation with Saturn that's coming up this month in the chronology that could lead to a canceled travel opportunity or a bracing sobriety moment around something you're trying to accomplish in an educational setting or with a sibling. When Mars is swimming through your third house, this is a good time for you to get very physically active and motivated to do with things in your daily life. You may join a gym. You may start a yoga class. You may get more into daily walking. It can really activate you to move or swimming or Tai Chi or some flowing motion in the daily life of your reality. One of the things you do, like brushing your teeth, and every day you encounter your toothbrush, well, maybe every day you can encounter a new form of motion and exercise while he moves through this part of the sky. Let's get rolling and talk about chronology, shall we? We're going to start in order of the big events of the month with April the 3rd. April the 3rd, Venus, the goddess of love, meets with Neptune. very dreamy, magical soulmate love at the very tail end of Pisces in your third house. This can look like an enchanting social time in which you're going out and you're finding yourself in a kind of a dream come true social moment with local neighbors, neighborhood people, or things in your local environment. Or if you're into online dating and you want to plan a first date on this one, go for it. Having a first date, in real life or online, it doesn't really matter, connecting that way. April 3rd is good for new romance setting into motion. So you can bake in a really good first encounter with a new person romantically if you're a single Capricorn. But if you're with somebody around April the 3rd, give or take a day on either side, it just speaks to me of heightened romance, an elevation in the love, and a sense of things you would do socially with that person, even including a dreamy trip or getaway. When we move to April the 6th, and if you're online like I am and you do social media, a dreamy uplift in your Neptunian social media stuff, Instagram Reels, YouTube, TikTok, etc. April 6th and the 7th, Venus is going to flow in a sextile to Pluto in Aquarius. Well, Venus has moved into Aries by this time, and she's now in your fourth house, and she's having a convo with Pluto, who is in your house of money and earnings. Now, a lot of you Capricorns over the next 2 decades are going to power up in finances. You'll be having death and rebirth, changes of career as a result, but ultimately this is a 20-year opportunity for Capricorns to increase their wealth. And as Pluto is around 2 degrees of Aquarius in the month of April, Venus will enter into the fourth house and look over her shoulder at him, and they'll bat eyes at each other. Well, if you can bat eyes as Pluto, but Venus does the eye batting, Pluto does the mafia boss vibe and honors the attention. And it looks like money and wealth, sweet spot in the sky, April 6th and 7th, to do with things you're doing in and from the home, property, land, and real estate, and even including perhaps rental opportunities because of Mercury's presence there, and he owns your 6th house of rentals, to rent a place out, to find a new rental, and a sweet glow energy around money, power, love, rental, home, property, land, real estate, April 6th and the 7th. April the 9th and the 10th, but let's go April 8th, 9th, and 10th, is a bit of a vortex of energy. It has a lot happening. And in your chart, this involves that eclipse in your fourth house. Now, you've been wounded perhaps to some extent since February 2019 as Chiron ingressed into Aries, where he'll be till 2027, and began to make you feel like you don't have a true home, or being at home is a wound, or there's something wounded about your childhood and your mother relationships that you need to heal. And this has been plaguing you since 2019. Chiron will have been attempting to heal that March the 5th and February 19th, when he came into contact with the North Node, true and mean nodes. And you can probably look at your schedule and see what was going on there, because this eclipse is going to be conjunct Chiron. And I can tell you, this April the 8th, 19 degrees of Aries eclipse will impact all of you Capricorns with a earth-shaking energy, because this is the bottom of your chart. And it can significantly move you to a new location to live, especially if your midheaven is in the Libra 10th house of your chart. If it's a Cap moon that you have, this is definitely a relocation signature, because moon represents the home. Now, this eclipse also is going to indicate perhaps that this could be a move that involves a foreign place or foreign country, or with a foreigner. Rahu, the North Node, is sitting on this eclipse with Chiron, and that is about the foreigner energy. So some of you may indeed be relocating your home to another country, or moving to a new home with a foreigner. Things like that can be indicated. When? On April the 8th? No. Eclipses run the course of a year after, especially a total solar eclipse. Could even impact you beyond a year from this April the 8th, okay? I'll do a whole deep dive video on that. Just, stay tuned, like and subscribe. We'll talk about the asteroids and the stars in more detail that are involved in this eclipse. But I just want you to be aware, it's a game changer for things to do with your childhood wounds, with your mother relationship, with money from a legacy, wealth, inheritances could be involved, or something to do with the massive home change. If you're a Capricorn sun or moon or rising, and your rising sign is near 19 degrees, or your sun and moon, give or take 3 degrees on either side for sure, you really feel this very intensely and very acutely, but all Capricorns will indeed feel it. Later born Capricorns will feel more acutely. Earlier born Capricorns in the first 10 degrees of Capricorn kind of vibe will feel this energy more acutely on the eclipse of next March already in the sign of Aries. But this eclipse is a big deal for the world, and it's a big deal for you. Moving forward on the follow-up act of the eclipse, the 2 days later, on the 9th and 10th, Mars perfects a conjunction to Saturn. Now, this is in play as the eclipse happens, but it's in a sign that's one over from Aries. It's your third house of travel, skills-based education, local neighborhood events, local neighbors, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, and nephews and nieces, and all the extended family tribe. And as this eclipse is happening, you're really looking at the strong possibility here of something that you thought you were going to do. Saturn, the Lord of your sign, was putting in a structure, a plan for a trip, an educational application, something to do with your online world, your social media structures and websites, something to do with siblings or your local neighbors and neighborhood. So something was being put into place here. Saturn was building a structure, and then Mars crashes into him. If you go back to March of 1994, March of 1996, this is the last time Mars crashed into Saturn in the sign of Pisces in your third house. It's back, right? Be careful for automobile injury accidents. I mean, Mars is the automobile or the vehicle that moves. Could even be a train. Probably not a plane, but never know. And Saturn, a hard wall. So, I mean, just to take control of your life, be very cautious then about automobile accidents that you could involve yourself in on April 9th and 10th. If you want to be safe, maybe just don't drive that day if you can avoid it. Otherwise, there's some hard stop here, some kind of frustration around maybe travel, especially if there's a plan in Saturn in place and Mars is cutting through it. And disruption to a plan for travel, April 9th and 10th, is possible at this time. April 11th and April the 12th. After this conjunction of Saturn and Mars, we move into a Mercury kazimi. He moves at 22 degrees of Aries, retrograde into the heart of the sun, a day of a magical download or a breakthrough in commerce, commercial dealings, money matters, negotiations around property, land, home, real estate, or possibly move of location. Now, this kazimi day, it's got Mercury between the Earth and the Sun retrograde. So it's very powerful. It's very magical. I'll be teaching a webinar and doing a live guided meditation on this. Please join me. It's free. And in the description box below is your free sign up link. We will harness the stars and asteroids and get the most out of this for each of the signs. So come aboard, and it's about a 90-minute class, but it is free. And you get a replay if you can't make it. Okay, so that aside, we're going to move forward because this kazimi is its own enchantment. I can't tell you what it means until you go through it yourself. But we do have Venus there, the goddess of money. So it could be some really big breakthroughs around phone calls, emails, and messages, as well as understanding and insights coming off of the kazimi for you on the April the 11th, 12th. It depends on your time zone because it's at 22 degrees of Aries. And if you're Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising is near 22, of course, you feel it most intensely. Moving into what I'm calling the vortex. The vortex is April the 18th to the 21st. And I don't know, guys, does vortex give it enough juice? I mean, it is intense beyond measure. The vortex is coming. So it's made up of multiple components. One of the multiple components is the rare Jupiter-Uranus conjunction on the 20th and 21st of April, last seen in 1941 in the sign of Taurus. And as they come together in this Taurian part of your chart, on that time frame, the 2021st, at around 21 degrees of the sign of Taurus, it is about romance, love, children, creativity, fun, play, and pleasure, entrepreneurial endeavors, artistic endeavors. And it's a reset button for you that's going to reverb forward for almost 14 years. And so it's not a one and done on the 21st of April. Yet between the 15th and the 26th, as it builds and then it wanes, you feel the energy like like a breeze, or a big wind offshore when a hurricane's brewing down the energy field in the future. Jupiter is a benefic, so he's going to try to bring it on as something good. Okay, that's for sure. Some of you may have your floating IC or the root of your chart in whole sign houses here. That could be big changes around where you live over the next 15 years. Capricorns, I'll be doing a whole deep dive video onto this one. And I already have one out on my Patreon playlist, on my playlist on YouTube. So check it out. Go look at that. It's already out and you can delineate this in greater detail for you. It's in my 2024 Big Transits playlist. And I'll have it pinned to the top of that playlist because it's the most important thing in the month of April. So with all of that said, don't expect on April 21st everything to happen. All right. I'm talking about a big synodic cycle, but some changes are happening in your relationship to children, fertility, pregnancy, creativity, creative projects, entrepreneurship, and romantic love in a positive, fruitful, bountiful way. The fifth house can bring good fortune financially. It's a house of good fortune or good luck. And so you may have some unexpected financial fortune burst out of a bubble for you. Let's say anywhere between the 15th to the 26th of April, but with the epicenter on the 21st. Okay. But why is it a vortex? It's a vortex because on the 18th to the 21st, Mars is building up an energy of cheerleading on that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction as he is in a sextile to Jupiter. All right. And of course, a sextile to Uranus. And so, in essence, what we see is Jupiter saying, go, go, go. You got this. From where? Pisces, your third house. Certainly, it could be things like go, 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 have a romantic getaway trip with your beloved. Go, 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 write an email to your, children or something. But it also can look like an unexpected pregnancy that you're going to get news of to do with one of your children if you have them. Okay. Or you could get unexpectedly pregnant here as well. Now, April the 18th to the 21st, as Mars is cheerleading on and giving some encouragement to this Jupiter-Uranus conjunction from your third house, and he's come off that hard ass hitting a wall in the 9th and 10th. So he's now free of that. At the same time, Venus, the goddess of love, and Mercury, the god of messages and news. Venus, money, Mercury, news and messages and commerce. Those two join in your fourth house. Ideal time for putting a house on the market to sell. Ideal time, April 18th to 21st, for getting an offer on a home. Ideal time for some kind of news about money connected to your family of origin coming to you in some way. Now, when I say coming to you, you're probably thinking like, a check arrives in the mail. Sure, it could be that. It can be that. Mercury also rules your house of tenancies and debts. And so he could say a new tenancy agreement that brings great goodness to you. An old debt that was owed to you is repaid to you from somebody in your family of origin, or you're made aware that it could be repaid to you. And that is going to be around April 18th to 21st as well. And then the hard part of this vortex is around the 20th and 21st as well, when the conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter perfects. You have Sun square Pluto. Now, Sun is in Taurus, where your children are, where your love and romance is, where your creative and entrepreneurial endeavors exist, and where your fertility is. The Sun looks over its shoulder back at Pluto in your house of money. House 2 and House 5 are money houses. So I'm seeing this as a sub-story to do with finances. Pluto is power, trying to power you up, square the Sun. Child wants money, you decline to offer. Romantic partner, hardship, sexual romance hardship, and you decline to support it financially or something. It could be so many different things. It could be an ask for a child for money, and Pluto says, maybe I want more reason, good reason for that. If your entrepreneurial or creative endeavors are a part of it, there's a crunchy financial moment where Pluto is suggesting maybe we need to look more deeply at what's being offered here, because Pluto looks under the surface. Okay. Now, as well, later on, after this very difficult Sun square Pluto moment, and it can be a power struggle with someone in authority as well, or with a child. When this happens, April 20th and 21st, later on, Venus tries to soothe the waters. When she's moving through Taurus, her home kingdom, on the 29th and 30th, she also squares Pluto. And so she's kind of like the backup unit here. For what happens on April 2021, Venus is going to try to find peace and harmony and resolution. Okay. And again, it could be about money matters. It could be a love and romance matters. It could be about important conversations. Pluto's in a house of speech. But I think with the Venus piece on the 29th and 30th, it's kind of like, let's bring this to a peaceful conclusion. Venus-Pluto is wealth and a wealth yoga, but with hardship involved. Major life decisions have to be made in your life or in the life of a child or romantic partner to do with increased wealth in your life around the 29th and the 30th. Next, we're going to talk about the full moon on the 23rd of April. It's at 4 degrees of Scorpio. Go back to the new moon in the fall, right around Halloween season. You had a new moon in Scorpio. Now it becomes full. That's your 11th house of good spirit. It has to do with your groups of belonging and your friendship circles, your long-range plans for your life, your elder sibling, particularly the one just above you, and things and matters to do with your gains in your career. Now, elder sibling or people who treat you like a little sibling, so they want to help you, can be in the story as a fulfillment of a promise that went back to October, November. Did a big sister brother archetype come into play for you? And you see the completion, fulfillment, and fruition of that connection to that ally or benefactor back then, because of this full moon on the 23rd of April could bring that to a time of completion or obvious fruitfulness. Okay. Finally, it's at 4 degrees of Scorpio. So yes, if you are an earlier born Capricorn, you may feel it, 0 to 10 degrees more acutely, more like this is really about me and for me. Last thing we're going to talk about in the month of April is the Neptune dreamy love connection. Well, it's like spiritual warrior, but clear the fog of confusion. Neptune does this fog confusion clearing April 28th through the 30th as he collides with Neptune in that third house. So first Mars collided with Saturn and hit a wall of frustration back on the 9th and 10th. I already talked about it. But when he hits Neptune, he's entering fog, right? He's not hitting a hard wall. So it's like he's going to clear the fog so you can be less confused and more clearly decisive around something you wish to achieve around April 29th and 30th, to do with journeys, trips, and travel, things to do perhaps with siblings, elder, or other people who are helpful to you, maybe decisions around travel and opportunity financially in your career or something like that, opening a gateway for you. And it may be very sibling active and clearing some confusion for you as well around the 28th to the 30th of the month already. So get ready for that. I think it'll look pretty good on you, actually. All right. Thanks for listening, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. What a year you have, right? Mars was rising January 27th in the sign of you. Please watch that Mars rising video in my 2024 playlist. It's you revising your entire life and rising into a new version of you. 1977 to 79, you felt that rise of 2 years. This back again. You're rising again in your identity and your sense of selfhood and all you want to be and become, and you're more decisive. It's a wonderful 2 years ahead. January of this year, 24 to January 26. Please watch that video as well, because for you of all people, it's critically important. Okay, so we are done with that story. Thank you for listening. This goes to my Patreon community today, March 22nd. They're getting it a bit early before you receive it on Sunday. So if you like that early access content ad-free and you want to join for $5 a month and get a Patreon meeting with me every month, plus 2 free courses, Synastry, Are You My Person, and Chiron, the Key to Purpose, giving those courses away for free. If you want to join, it's my free gift to you to try out my Patreon community, and you can leave anytime if you don't like it. Thanks, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I'll see you in the next month ahead. Ciao.